we tie everything first and foremost to our core values and leadership principles. One of our core values is respecting the individual. And for us, respecting the individual is investing in them and giving them career opportunities. Well, if we were kind of siloed in that hiring decision and making, then we were also siloed in all of our other people processes. So the first thing that we did is we established our philosophy of hire for TransPlace. So all candidates go through a rigorous selection process, including skills-based assessments, values-based assessments, one-on-one interviews with managers, panel interviews. During that process, a minimum of 2 people must be on the interview team that are outside of your physical group, so that we reinforce that hiring for TransPlace. We also leverage that new hire learning path, which what we call a fuel station. So we are a transportation company, so fuel station is facilitate understanding education and learning, which is our online learning portal. As part of these learning paths, employees access this fuel station to register for courses, take courses, and then even if it's, for example, an instructor-led course, they need to go back on the fuel station and take a quiz to demonstrate that they were actually paying attention. A multi-element leadership program that reinforces the leaders' accountabilities to getting all these things done. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of what we do.
You seem to really emphasize leadership and investment in leadership development and accountability as a core focus. Why? And is this more or less important than a general focus on talent?
So we do put a lot of emphasis on leadership and leadership development. It's not that overall employee development isn't important, but when you think about driving leaders' accountability to supporting employees' development, that's how you ensure that programs are sustainable, right? Because if you TransPlace Leadership Forum. So this is a monthly forum that all managers, and we call all of our manager leaders, so if you have at least 1 employee reporting to you, you attend the leadership forum. And we have an hour and a half once a month that everybody gets on these scheduled leadership forums. The most important aspect is this should not be a top-down, this is what CHRO or the chief executive does, but instead we empowered a group of board members that voted, so all these leaders voted board members who they drive the agenda. And then the agenda relates to 1 or more of our leadership principles, so they try to highlight that. We also have a new manager learning path. So if you're promoted internally, or you're hired externally as a manager, you have the accountability for at least managing 1 person, you have extra elements of your learning path. There's 2 things, though, I think that are unique about it. The first is, as I mentioned, we have corporate goals. Our annual corporate goal is that 95% of our reviews are done on time, and we measure that and communicate that every month to our employees. We also have a once-a-year leadership summit. We started that 2 years ago. And the initial leadership summit is when we created our leadership principles, because we kind of felt, well, the core values are good, but shouldn't leaders be held to a different standard? But we do have an annual leadership summit. We tie it to something else going on within the company, so we're not taking on just an extra expense, but we have the top 40 leaders come in. We know that this is working. We do an annual employee satisfaction survey, and one of the highest scores now for our annual satisfaction survey is my manager treats me with dignity and respect and demonstrates that he or she cares for me. Also, one of the top 2 or 3 questions is, I understand what my responsibilities are within my job. So that says leaders are kind of doing what they need to do.
Just a moment, and the 4 core values that you referred to, and you've mentioned them in many ways, but as we walked in this morning, I saw examples of them everywhere. But for those who are watching the video, can you tell us what the 4 core values are?
And our core values are respect the individual, thrill the customer, process and technology, excellence, and growth and profitability.
Wonderful advice. Would you offer someone who aspires to make a difference in their senior HR role?
I think one of the most important aspects of not even just in a senior HR role, just in any HR role, is understand how the business makes money. you're not asking how the business makes money, is it profitable? What are the financial measures that your business looks at for success? Even if it's for a nonprofit organization, we still have numbers and financial metrics that we have to be accountable to. So if you don't have that fundamental aspect, you can never be a business partner.
Over 20 years of HR experience with small, privately held organizations to global enterprises, will you share a few key lessons learned?
Yes. One thing I have to share is, and I have worked for companies as small as 500 and companies as large as 50,000. So I've worked within the spectrum. What I mentioned in the earlier commentary is consistent with any of these. Understand how the business makes money or potentially loses money, and kind of the general financial measures that are important to the business leaders. Okay, so there it is, unless my basic infrastructure and systems were in place. And many times with TransPlace, we had a great HR system, but we weren't leveraging it. Our new hire system was filled with papers. Today, we have only one piece of paper our new hire signs when they walk in the door. Everything else important, and it's hard to do, is lead by example. So if you're asking your internal business partners, your executives to do certain things, you should be the example. So if your business partners are producing monthly or quarterly reports, HR should be producing monthly and quarterly reports. If your business unit has a strategy, once you understand their strategy, HR has a strategy. So those are so important. Of all these things is, I wish I could articulate this better, but don't be afraid and empower your team. Work on great projects. Give them visibility. Give them exposure. Don't feel the need that you have to be in every meeting. Let them present.
Today and for helping us to drive our vision, our mission to enhance the value of HR. Thank you so much for that. If you know of someone else who would like to share their message with us, give us an email or give us a call. We appreciate it. We would appreciate that so much. And thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next executive video series.